Jazzcast Pros.
You don't need another app. You just need a simple way to name your files, your digital files. Yes, on this podcast, we talk about decluttering your physical space, but what about your digital space? You want to create an oasis for that. You want a smooth workflow, and you want to be able to extract files quickly and easily. So we're going back to the basics because we want to work smarter, not harder.
Welcome to the Declutter Empress Radio podcast, a podcast to help you create a functional space wherever you roam. I am your host, Daria, and today we will discuss how to make your home your oasis.
Okay, so today I am here to talk about digital organization. Some of these tips you may have already heard before, or you may already be applying them to your life. All I know is the last thing we need is another app. Apps are helpful, they're useful, but today I want to focus on file organization, already using the tools that you have at your disposal without downloading another app to get organized. The first thing we'll do is to get specific on labeling files. Now, there is a process already out there that is defined by something called ISO, which stands for International Organization for Standardization. And if you're in the engineering world or if you're in industries that require specificity, you may already be familiar with this. But for those who aren't, I'm going to give you an example. So let's say if you received an invoice for December 2025, you're going to label your file on your desktop. You're going to label the file by date and name of the company. So for example, write the 4 digits for the year. In this instance, 2025 hyphen 2 digits for the month, 1/2/12, and then 2 digits for the day. So say, for example, if you received it on December 15th. In this case, it would be 2025 hyphen 12 hyphen 15 for 15, ABC Company. And then if you receive another invoice, you're going to put it in that date format as well, and so on. So essentially, you'll be able to easily locate the file, especially when you need to access it quickly. This is an essential and clear way to label any document, especially for accounting or tax purposes. Now, in another instance of digital organization, let's say you're working on a project and you're not ready to file it yet. One of the things that has helped me tremendously is that I have 2 folders, a working folder and a completed folder for each of the projects that I'm working on. And on my desktop, I will have a folder that says working. And this folder is almost always empty because I like to close projects out. And I never like to have any more than 3 projects at a time. Of course, this will vary depending on what you're working on, but I like to have 3 projects in there at the most. I don't like to have that any more than that because it's overwhelming. So what I do is I will have a shortcut on my desktop so that I know it's a working file. And then as soon as I'm done with it, I will go ahead and file it in my completed folder in the appropriate project name that I'm working on. So say, for example, if I'm working on an executive summary for ABC Company, I'll have a folder named ABC Company. And then within that folder, I will have 4 digits for the year, 2 digits for the month, 2 digits for the day, executive summary, working. That will be my naming convention. But as soon as I'm done with that executive summary, guess what? It's going in my completed folder under the company name, ABC Company. So it's like having 3 clicks. You're going to put it in the working file first when you start working, if you're still working on the document. And then once you're finished with it, you're going to send it to the completed folder and you're going to put it under the company name. Like that. Really simple. And it's also essential to have this type of naming convention like the 4 digits for the year, two digits for the month, and 2 digits for the day, so that whether you're using Windows 365 or a Mac, you'll be able to quickly search and easily retrieve the file, no matter the operating system that you're on. So either way, when you have all of your files in this format, you will get into the habit of searching for your files in this manner. So again, you can easily track down any document. I also like to keep certain files, for example, like taxes and backup documentation. Now for these, you want to have them labeled in a similar ISO fashion as well. And I go back to my rule of 3. Name your files and also save them. So in regards to the rule of 3, save your files to your USB drive, your cloud, and hard drive. Now, if you do not want to save this to the cloud and you prefer to print instead, you can still use this filing convention and have one of those hanging folders labeled 2025, for example, and then just write the label on your folder as stated earlier. And side note, if you don't have a personal printer, and of course, you can print documents using a public service like the FedEx or Kinko's or even the library. But for your private information, I would not recommend that necessarily, because although you may be able to print securely using a PIN number, let's just say something breaks down and your printout gets stuck. You don't want that. So essentially, you want to make sure that you can get your file securely. So if there's a friend that you know who has a printer, or if there is, someone that you can trust to print out your documents, you could do it that way. So essentially, you don't have to have the latest app to get your digital files in order, because I know I have experienced this personally. There are so many great apps out there that you don't necessarily need the next best thing, because at the end of the day, just doing things manually will get you to what you need, because you need to do it anyway. But also at the same time, these apps can get expensive. You have to pay the monthly subscription, and why not just use what you already have? So in summary, here are some takeaways. Digital organization. The first thing you want to do as far as labeling files on your desktop, you want to go by the ISO convention. You want to do 4 digits for the year, 2 digits for the month, and 2 digits for the day, and then the company. And then second, find a way to organize your projects so you can file them easily and be able to retrieve them quickly. Have a working file on your desktop of the projects that you're currently working on so that you can easily go back and edit them. And then once you're done with them, once they're completed, you can just send these to the completed work folder. And then third, if you want to print out your documents, you can do that also, which I highly recommend using a friend's printer or a family member's printer if you're printing out private documents. If it's something like that you don't care about, then totally use the library or the other services. But when it does come to the printed folders, you can also label those as well using hanging folders and individual folders. So that's it for this episode. And I want to just share that there will be more tips similar to this, because I know that we're all moving in a fast-paced world and things are getting faster and they're getting more complex. And I just wanted to share how if you don't want to have to download another app, here is a way to organize your files so that you won't have a mess of your projects and you can quickly retrieve files and other things easily. So if you found this episode helpful, please feel free to leave a comment. And if you like this podcast, if any of the tips help you in any of the episodes that you have listened to, including this one, go ahead and give a 5-star rating. I want to make sure that this episode and others are recognized by the algorithms out there so that they can be referred to others who want quick, actionable, and real easy to apply tips on decluttering. Because I want to stress that it's more than just about creating a physical oasis space for yourself, but also a digital oasis space for yourself. So until next time, take great care of yourselves and live clutter-free. I'll talk with you soon.